What is up guys, Morton here from SteamFirst.com with a review for Lost Marbles, developed by Binary Takeover and released on Steam May 30th, 2014 for $10. Lost Marbles is a game that has a whole lot of potential but doesn't really capitalize on it. Let's start off with what the game is and the good things, and then I'll move on to what could be improved and why I have issues with this. The game isn't all that complicated. You control a marble or multiple marbles and try to get to the end of a course. The courses have a variety of hazards such as fire or spikes, and you need to avoid all of it or you have to start over. There are three types of marbles: a heavy marble that sinks in water and can go over most hazards, and it can also launch forward very fast to jump off ramps or break through fences, a rubber marble that can jump over most obstacles and floats in water, and a paper marble that can't touch any hazards or water but can shrink in size to fit into tight places. The first difficulty just uses one marble, in the second you control two of them, and in the third difficulty you use all three. You never get to choose which marbles you use though, which is fine because it would completely break all the puzzles. For the most part, the puzzles are pretty straightforward. Some of them are sort of difficult, but after you do a few of them you start to realize patterns and it gets kinda predictable and pretty repetitive. The main focus of the game is time though, not puzzles. It's about getting through everything as fast as possible without messing up. It's actually pretty fun to compete with your own times because there's a lot of things you can do to speed up and cut corners in different ways. But as I said, there are definitely some issues as well. For starters, there's only 30 courses, 10 for each difficulty level, and they only take a couple of minutes to beat at most, with some taking less than 15 seconds for the first time. There's also a hardcore mode, which is basically the same 30 courses, but if you mess up on one, you have to go back to the previous stage and beat it again. The only real purpose of that is to unlock skins for the marbles, so it's kind of pointless. If you're going for the fastest times, it doesn't make sense to play hardcore mode, so there's no reason to use it for that, because you'll need to continually play the same stage over and over, and hardcore mode automatically moves you forward after you complete each stage. Along with the lack of stages and difficulty, the other problem is how not competitive the fastest times are. On my first time playing through, I got top 20 times on quite a few of the courses, which basically means that there's only a handful of people trying to get good times, so you'll mainly be playing against your own time trying to improve. And with only 30 levels, it won't last that long. Gameplay gets a 3 out of 5. The controls and everything work great, and it isn't bad. It's just really short, and the puzzles get so repetitive that it isn't at all challenging. The sounds are alright, nothing special though. The soundtrack is pretty repetitive, and there aren't really any interesting sound effects. But I'd definitely say that it doesn't take away from the game. It just doesn't add to it. The graphics are also decent, but again not fantastic. They're both pretty average, there's not really much more to say about it. Graphics and sound both get a 3 out of 5. They're fine, but aren't awesome. As for replayability, obviously there's a lot since the goal of the game is trying to get the fastest times. On top of that, there's a lot of achievements and skins you can try to earn, most of which you'll need to go out of your way to accomplish. Now if that gets repetitive or not is up to you. Some people will enjoy replaying the same few stages over and over trying to save fractions of a second, but other people would not. But it is there if you're into it. Replayability gets a 4.5 out of 5. There's quite a bit to do in this game even after you complete it once, if it's the type of replayability you're looking for. As for the problems I have in this game, it's mainly how repetitive and short it is. It's a $10 game and that's asking a lot for what this game has. If it had a few more types of marbles and more stages, it would be fantastic. But it's just so short and it has hardly any depth to it. Another thing I think this game would benefit from is a level editor. This game just seems like the perfect type of game to get the community involved in making and sharing stages, which would add tons of value, both for people who enjoy creating the stages and for people who just want to play more. Another issue is checkpoints. These are fantastic if you're just trying to play through it normally, but if you're going for speed, they're really annoying. If you hit a checkpoint after say 10 seconds and then you mess up 6 seconds later, you respawn at that checkpoint with 16 seconds on the clock, because that's how long you played. But because of that, you'll never get a fast time, so you need to manually go in and restart the level. It's a minor annoyance, but with this type of game where you might play a stage 50 times going for a high score, having to manually restart every time gets really annoying. A way to turn off checkpoints would certainly make things better. Lost Marbles basically comes down to how much fun do you have replaying the same stages trying to save less than a second. The game works well. The mechanics, the physics, the controls, it's all really good. It just doesn't have much variety. Overall, Lost Marbles gets a 3.5 out of 5. It works well for what it is, but it's certainly not for everybody. There's also a lot of ways that the game could be improved in the future. More levels, more marbles, more complexity, a level editor. Any of these would help greatly improve the value. Nothing has been announced of yet though, but they have been patching the game, so it's worth keeping an eye on.